Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Round 16 Q&A. We are live on Tuesday, the 25th of June, and we are post the buys, which will be good for, I think, a lot of us. The buys were quite frustrating. A few people it was very helpful for, but I think the overall majority is just looking forward to getting back to Best 22. I'm your host, and AFL Fantasy Fanatic, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. And I'm joined by the full crew tonight. I've got Tim and Jordox. Tim, firstly, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Looking forward to getting past these buys and for the final 9 weeks of the season?
Oh, I don't know. I may have given up hope, mate. I may have given up hope. The buys didn't work out. I was going to make a joke after the fourth round of the buys that like Dangerfield in the year that Geelong won the grand final. Remember how we got sent to fat camp for like 4 weeks or something like that? I kind of felt like I'd been sent to fat camp for the past 4 weeks. I hadn't really been on the pod much or anything like that. But I was toiling away hard at my team. And look, I got my team into a decent position where I've now only got one rookie on the field, which means after trades this week, I got, that rookie's off. But man, I could not make any ground. I'm still sitting just inside the 8,000 rank. And fantasy this year sucks. My tipping's going all right though, which is keeping something alive. But
there you go.
Nah, look, I think look, the reality is I think I went hunting for too much value. I had too many mid prices this year, and when too many of them failed, there were too many things to fix up to kind of sit, I guess, where I normally might sit in the competition. So look, lesson learned, and I don't know. Well, we'll see if the lessons learned. We'll see how we go next year, right?
Exactly, mate. You still got 9 weeks to go. You might still be able to might sneak into a rank that you're happy with. So
I hope so, but I just have not been able to make the ground that I thought I was going to make during the buys.
Yeah, no, that's all right. We'll keep pushing through, and then Tim starting to plan a bit like the Crows for 2025. But joining me is my fellow Crow supporter and fantasy fanatic as well. It is Jordox, mate. How are you?
Very good, mate. Chin up, Guesty. I mean, everyone says the buys are where you make the ground, and but the reality is they're bloody hard. And I actually think this week and the next couple of weeks is where you'll make your ground if your team is, set up well, because the buys can cover some cracks. And it's going to be interesting to see how my team pulls up. But I feel like I've just sat in the same sort of area for 10 weeks, which is a good spot to be inside top 2,000. But I just don't seem to go forward or back. So, yeah, it's good, but it's not great. So we'll see what brings it, what this week brings.
Yeah, well, we didn't get to chat to you on Sunday night as you had a few other plans on the Sunday.
Oh.
So how did you go in? Well, if you want to share what you're doing on Sunday night, you're telling me pre-pod, but then how'd you go in round 15 and sort of quickly give us your +3 and -3 if you want as well?
Yeah, sure. So I saw a lifelong hero of mine, an idol. I got to see Jerry Seinfeld live Sunday night instead of potting with you boys. So that was brilliant. Yeah, I've never laughed so hard in my life. And yeah, it's really, really good. In terms of how my week went, yeah, again, it was a pretty good week. I think I went forward a few hundred spots in the ranks. It's great. It's good. Am I going to be wearing a hat soon? Probably not. I need to find another way to just cut through. But scored 1971. I think for the first time all year, I tweeted this the other day. I think I actually nailed my trades. Like, it was really satisfying to bring in 3 guys. And as the round went tick, 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 so it was Tolstrup, the young Melbourne guy, Goulden, who I'm so fortunate I could still get him after passing up on him a couple of weeks in a row. Got a huge score from him, and then got Merritt on the Sunday. So, yeah, well set up. I'm pretty pretty sure I know what trades I'm doing. I'm pretty organised this week. So I've been thinking about what you said, Bales, a couple of weeks in a row about, you could be in that sort of 2K range and still maybe make a charge for the hat because we're seeing such discrepancies between primos. So, yeah, I'll give it all I've got. That's for sure. +3 would be Brody Grundy, who I snuck the VC on. I just thought I'd do something a little bit different. And even though he didn't do what Goulden did, he did a 122. And it's funny because when that game finished, there was, 20 minutes before Gawn took the field. So I had to decide, do I take the VC of Grundy or do I captain Gawn and try and catch up with those who had Goulden as their VC? And I messaged Bales, and at that point, Grundy was on 119. And I messaged Bales, and you're pretty definitive. You take that every day of the week. And I've never done this before. I sat there refreshing, saying, "Please get another hit out. A post-game hit out added on. Give me a 120. It's just nicer and neater than 119. Although 119 can be a fun number in other ways, Port fans. Anyway, got the +3 post-game. So when Gawn had started, I went and looked 122. Beautiful. -3, the guy that will be getting the sack this week. I've had him since the start. I just never found a way to get rid of him. And then he was quite handy over the buys. But Luke Jackson, 39. That ain't going to cut it, bud, especially when we're back to best 22, not best 18. So I had Oliver as well, but he was just so terrible. He didn't even count. So Jackson, 39.
I love that Oliver. I think that everyone that owns Oliver, as soon as that full lockout lifted, though he was out. Not for me because I was recording the pod when the lockout lifted. So as soon as I did in the pod, he was out. So he was.
I listened to the pod on the drive home from the city after Seinfeld, and I was listening to you, and I remember thinking, I really want to go and watch your watch along for Melbourne North just to see the anger coming out of you when Oliver refused to touch the pill.
Oh yeah, people actually a few people commented on that, saying I don't think I've ever seen you get so worked up during a video watch along. So that was quite funny. That was something that game. So Power Prawns actually just commented here saying 119 flog work Jordox, move on with he's done laughing face now. He's a Port supporter. So but he does have a super chat, so we'll quickly answer that here as well. So thank you very much for that, mate, for putting that through. He said, "Hey lads, real thoughts on Wilmot and Will Powell? I'm pretty sure they're coming in. Jordan Clark is done, I think. Jordan Clark, Jai Clark. I'm not sure. There's a lot of J Clarks in the AFL. So,
he might be concerned about the Jordan Clark tag. Yeah.
I'd say so. So, but yeah. So, well, spoiler alert: Will Powell at the moment is currently sitting in my side as my D6.
That's an endorsement.
So, looking at him. So, what are our thoughts on Wilmot and Powell? And Tim, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on those two guys? Both have put up a couple of good scores. Obviously, Powell's only had the one good score, but Wilmot's had a pretty good month or so recently.
Yeah, Wilmot's not one I've really thought about too much. But Will Powell, certainly, now that he's back in that side, I mean, I've been worried a little bit more about the impact on someone like Sexton. But, so you think he's going to be good enough to – well, I don't know. I really haven't thought about him too much at all, Bale. So probably best to break it down, right?
Yeah, I'll just get their prices up here. So Darcy Wilmot is currently priced at 716 cash. It's a bit more expensive than what I thought he was. But from round 10 onwards, he's gone 96, 72, 97, 101, and 102. So he's been really, really good. And that 102 is against Port Adelaide. And then you've got Will Powell, who is priced at 652k, break even of 50. He obviously had the 5 weeks off with suspension, but he scored a 111 last.
Yeah, and it's more. I mean, with Powell, it's
you go, Jordox.
It's quite telling that he's come back after 5 weeks suspension, hasn't come back through the VFL, has come straight into the role. I think we lost you, Bales. I think you're back with us.
What the hell happened there? I was saying, I was going through. What happened? Did it cut out? When did it cut out?
You just froze, so I just started talking about Powell's role.
Oh yeah, I was literally saying, I was like, Powell's missed 5 weeks through suspension, and he's back and got a 111. He's got Collingwood and North in his next 2, and then my screen went sort of blank for a bit, and then it came back, and then I just hear you saying, he's just like, Will Powell's got had a 5 week suspension. I just said that. So,
Well, I was saying so it's interesting because he's come back after 5 weeks, not through the VFL, straight into the senior side and straight into that role. So he only had the 1 kick-in. So the kick-ins duties are still going to, Flanders and I guess Sexton. But he looks really good. My only concern with Powell, and, the concern you have can be mitigated by the price you pay, but he's straight back in. But Gold Coast have kind of moved that back line around a bit. They've changed the designated kicker a few times, and I think Flanders is there to stay. Sexton got moved out.
I don't know if you saw that game because obviously at the Seinfeld thing, but Flanders actually went to the midfield in the final quarter. So that was, I don't know if that was just to try and chase the game, or if that's maybe with Powell and Sexton playing well, maybe they keep them to, and I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I just think they like it in his hands. I think we might see Flanders go between the two, but I guess my concern with Powell is the fact that there are lots of those guys at the moment, and but he's a good price. And Power Prawns, you're right, that was a cheap shot, the 119. It's been a rough week for the Port fans. I do feel for you as much as you're my enemies.
It's been a rough year for us Crows fans.
It's been a very rough time for us, but when your club is in divided and turmoil, it's not pleasant. So hopefully it all gets sorted out soon.
There's an interesting stat here from Josiah Mitchell. Apparently Will Powell's averaged 98 when Sexton's in the team. So that's quite interesting that with Powell and with Sexton there, he's averaged quite well. But I guess I'm looking at it, and he could be a guy that people look at because I've got Oliver and Powell. I think a lot of people have probably got both as well. There's certainly a fair few coaches that have got both those guys in there, and it's a case of you want to trade both. You get Rosie for Oliver. If you got enough cash to go Powell up, it's probably only a guy in the 650s unless you had 200k in the bank. So like you're looking at Tom Stewart was another one I considered around that price, but the Bombers this week, he's got a really good run for us here, Tom Stewart, so I don't mind him. It's just the fact that he's got Eston this week. I expect Guelphy definitely to go to Stewart this week, so I don't want to bring in a guy that's got a tag. Will Powell's got a couple of really nice matchups back-to-back, so low break-even, make some cash. I'd love if you had an extra 30k than me, I think Trent Rivers is the pick if you're looking in that price range. I think he's a 692 or something. So and
I was just going to say, I think Rivers is the one.
Yeah, Simon Goodwin came out today and said that he will pretty much be playing midfield again this week. So I would imagine that's going to be something moving forward. So I don't have that much cash, but if you did, Power Prawn Star, Trent Rivers is the pick for me if you're picking around that price range. So, but yeah, no, appreciate the super chat there, mate. Thanks for that. If anyone else wants to send one of those through, then feel free as well. So, but yeah, boys. So obviously we're back to best 22. Buys are done. Back to 2 trades. I think that it's safe to say that if you've got Oliver, he's a trade. I think it's now time to be moving on these underperforming mid prices and I don't even know what Oliver is, past premium, whatever it is, but trading those guys, getting those rookies off the field. So Jordox, sort of have a look, maybe you're coming from your team, and then sort of what other people should be doing. What are your plans for this week, first week out of the buys? What are you looking to do?
Yeah, I'm really torn. Like I said, the position I'm in, I could kind of just keep playing it safe. So, for example, Oliver de Rose, I think it's a no-brainer. So many people are going to do that exact move. And then I've got a Luke Jackson who's going to be Jai Caldwell. So, great moves, really good, smart. You couldn't pick them apart. But is that going to get me forward? Because everyone's going to be doing that. So it's kind of where I've been the last few weeks, trying to think of how can I be different in a smart way, not just being different for the sake of being different. On Oliver, though, I don't know. I'm not as hasty in saying he's a must sell. I don't think he'll ever play a worse game than what he did last week, certainly from a fantasy perspective. I do think he'll come up against Jared Berry on Friday night and it'll be another tough one for him, but I can see him at least getting back to 80s and 90s for the run home. So if you do get caught with him at M8, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I think forget about the cash. You know, he's at less than when we all sort of jumped on when he was at that prime, 740, 750 points. So forget about him at least making you cash. If anything, you need to hold him there until he makes that cash back. I wouldn't argue with anyone who's trading him out. I just don't think it's as urgent. There's the emotions that flow on from a score like that. On a Monday, he's gone. I'm never playing him again. The reality is, apart from the weekend, he hasn't been that bad.
Jordox, can I ask you a question? So how would you compare like people with a Christian Salem to a Clayton Oliver? Who would you be trading first?
Well, we'll see what comes up Thursday night, because I know he's got some soreness, Salem. I'd still probably
assuming
trade
he's named.
Yeah, I'd still trade Oliver because I have more trust in Salem's role, and whether he's mid or back, I can trust him to get to 80s and 90s more than I can Clary at the moment. But yeah, geez, I don't know if any Melbourne fans are tuning in. I'd love to know, was he sub really as a strategic sub, or was he sore?
It was.
So
it was
the story is so the story is basically he copped a knock at training during the week. He was a bit sore when they were looking to bring I can't remember who was the
Kynan Brown
green vest. Yeah, Kynan Brown. When they were looking to bring him on, considering who to sub off. Yeah, they knew that that Salem was obviously had that injury, so it kind of made sense to bring him off.
Yeah, I'd be nervous. Yeah, maybe I'll change my answer. I'd be trading Salem over Clary if there's a knock on his knee. And if they're, considering subbing him for any sort of tactical reason, that's a real red flag. So, yeah, maybe I'd be holding Clary in that instance.
Yeah. I'd be trading Clary first. He's got to go. Simple as that. I watched that game and he looked awful. Berry will tag him because Petrarca's not going to be there, and I think it could be another potential sub 60 game again. If last week was going to go by, and
we don't have best 18 to protect us this time.
Exactly. And with Oliver, it's not like he was in he dropped the 106 early in maybe 6 weeks ago or whatever. Then he got like a 99.94, but he's just slowly gone back down to it's just gone. It's like he got like couple of 80s, and he got a 67. And it's just slowly gone downhill from there. And even West Coast, Jinby went with Merritt. Jinby could easily go with Oliver. It's just, I just think he's got to go. And Salem, I still think Salem will be okay. I think they subbed him out because they thought they had the game in hand, and North came roaring back, and probably was a mistake almost to sub him out. They might have been able to use him a bit more there. But I think both could go. If you could trade both, that could be something you do. I could see a scenario where someone's like, yep, Salem across to Rivers and Oliver across to Rosie. And I'd be like, yep, tick those off. I think they'd be pretty good trades, I reckon. So, but yeah, so Tim, you said you were getting your final rookie off of the field this week. So sort of what are your plans now sort of for the last 9 weeks of the season? Are you going to try a few different things, or you're still trying to just go about and try and get best rank possible?
Look, I've got Ollie Dempsey sitting at F6, so I've really got to get him off. I mean, obviously I turned up last week, but, can't expect that every week. And I don't actually even have a red dot in the forward line there, so it's not even where I can loop a couple of rookies, because I've still got Riley Sanders as well, which potentially still does have decent scoring potential. But yeah, look, got to get the rookies off field, right? So, and this is what I've got to manage. I've got to get a Dempsey off, and then I've also got an Oliver and a Salem. So, the good thing is if I've got someone like a Christian Salem, I can go, if I trade him out, I can do someone like a Will Power and a Jai Caldwell. Whereas if I got an Oliver, it would be obviously to a Rosie, but then I'm probably only can get to someone like a Simpkin.
That's not bad, though.
Yeah,
I like Simpkin.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's just, I'd prefer to have someone a bit better than Simpkin on the forward line, I think.
The only thing with Simpkin, he worries me a tiny bit just because Will Phillips is just clogging a midfield spot at the moment. And Simpkin, I think it was Tom was saying on Sunday that once Pink got injured, Simpkin actually moved a little bit more forward, and he was playing more of that high half forwards. That was interesting. So I don't know. I could get Simpkin this week. I don't know. There's just something about the Simpkin pick, and I think North have actually got a bit of a tricky run coming up as well. I think they've got a couple of tricky games. I mean, we should just get ready to run up here with Simpkin. So I know they've got the Dogs this week at Marvel, and then after that
Suns
they've
at Marvel.
Got
Suns at Marvel,
who are
Sydney at the
difficult for
SCG.
mids, and then Carlton. So next four was pretty tough for mids. So that's the only thing that worries me. But hey, he's at a cheap price, and I think he's going to be solid enough. I don't know. Well, who would you boys pick if you guys had to pick between Will Powell and a Jai Simpkin?
I'm pretty
I like the
comfortable
Will
with
Powell.
Simpkin, but Guesty.
Okay. Yeah, I would have gone the other way. So I probably would
That's
have
all
gone
right.
more towards Will Power just with that, half back roll. Yeah, just more uncertainty with Simpkin. I mean, yeah, he popped, what was it, one or two decent scores, but he really hasn't done much apart from that. I don't really see much changing in terms of that role. So yeah, but look, I mean that's the thing that I've got to do. I've got to, I got to troll through the, this is what we're doing at this time of the year. You kind of got to troll through the crops of forwards and see. I mean, do you look elsewhere? Is there someone else that could potentially score in line? Yeah.
One point I'll make on Simpkin and why I'm clearly more bullish than you boys are is that his CBAs took a dip with from that huge game against West Coast 3 weeks ago, but he's starting at half forward, but I'm seeing him go into the guts pretty much straight away. So even though the CBAs aren't there, he's still rolling into the midfield and being a big part of that, trying to extract the ball out and get some tackles and doesn't mind a
But that
goal
almost
too,
worries me more because he's not bloody scoring.
Well, he hit an 81, and then the week before that, he didn't play, but before that was a 132. So
sure,
yeah,
the 132 against the Eagles is certainly an outlier, though.
An outlier, yeah. I guess what do you need for the run home? 81, if that's the worst of it.
Yeah,
pretty good.
But yeah,
the other thing too is
81's probably the bottom end, though, isn't it? That's probably the floor of what you want.
Yeah, no, that's true. I do wonder with Phillips as well. I know that he's had a good couple of weeks in that spot. I mean, I could see them, potentially putting him on Bont. He'll probably go to liver, but they might put him on a Bont and he'll get destroyed and he might be out of the side again. So, that's probably going to help Tom Powell more than Jai Simpkin, but I don't know. I just like Simpkin. I just have a feeling he's going to have a good finish.
If Will Phillips was out, that would make me probably a little bit more keen on Simpkin, I guess, if Phillips was dropped. But I don't know. They sort of seem like they like doing that. But
he's done he's done a really good job 2 weeks in a row. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just having a keen here to see that Flanders, his CBAs in the last quarter, he had the most equal most on the ground, along with a few that had 6 of the 7 for the quarter. So it was exciting to see that last quarter was clearly a role shift. So it would just be interesting to see, like, Will Power back. Flanders did go back in and be just keen to see if and Sexton, they like what he's doing. So it'd be interesting to see if they I think Sexton went onto a wing for a little bit as well. So be keen to see if they put Sexton on a wing or if they put Flanders in the midfield or if they just all three play back there and whatever. So it will be interesting.
And you've got Connor Buderick as well. And I think they're going to want to have a look at him at some point the back end of the year. They really rate him. And again, that just comes back to my concern on the Will Powell move is that it's just so many unknowns. There's a lot of different players that can play that role. But in saying that, for the price, it's like Simpkin. Even if it's just 80s, it's going to be value. So,
yeah, because either him or Tom Powell scoring for me this week, and I think I know who I'd rather. I'd rather pretty much most players around that price than Tom Powell at the moment. He's not going too great. So Powell to Powell for me this week potentially.
Yeah, you definitely want to get rid of Powell for Powell. So, good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, boys. So we'll talk about just a couple of other. We'll talk about one more thing just quickly before we answer people's questions. So people looking at So we talk about a few options. Obviously, I think Rosie, still great option. We know that. I think Tom Green's a good option. Looked good on the weekend. And put up a beast off the first time since round 7. And a few guys in that 800K sort of range. But people are also looking for these upgrades now. These guys over 900K, they might have all the rookies off the field. They're looking for guys over that 900K mark. So there's a lot of good options there that people have jumped on. And then you've got people that are highly owned, like a Errol Goulden, who people have jumped on, or a Sam Walsh or a Dacos, whatever. Then you've also got a few guys a bit more unique, Tim Taranto and Adam Treloar. So, Tim, at this point of the year, what would you be doing? Would you be going for a different guy that's looked really good that's not going to maybe get the tag in a Taranto or Treloar? Or are you still, like, I think Goulden's probably a bit of an exception, but maybe then compared to like a guy like a Walsh, what are your sort of thoughts with those guys?
I really don't think, unless you're kind of right up there, that ownership really matters. I think still at this point of the game, you just got to be going for the best points upgrade that you can possibly get on field. What player is going to score the least this side, and can you trade them out, bring in a player that's going to score the most? I don't think I'd be looking for uniqueness just yet. Like, that's probably the last 6 to... Well, maybe, yeah. I wouldn't be worrying about it just yet. Maybe in that last month to 6 weeks of footy, that's when I'd really start to worry about it. I mean, I'd consider it. And if you've got players that are, like a player that's, a coin toss, you could potentially go unique to maybe give you that foot up. But I don't think it's not a parameter that I really look at.
Yeah. Do you have a few?
I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
Let me justify why. Oh,
yeah.
God. Look, my confidence is absolutely rocked at the moment. So I feel like I can't see fucking shit. So I'm hesitant to give advice and the other thing I've noticed as well is just over the last couple of months, I feel like all of my calls I've gotten wrong. So yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant to give advice. I'd probably rather talk through players and discuss players, but let me just also give you my reasoning behind why I don't really consider ownership too much.
This is big for me, Guesty, because this is where I'm at. I'm at a point where I think I do need to start being different. So I'm really interested in what you think there.
Well, with 22 players on field, how many players do you think have you got the same as everyone else? I mean, have you looked at your ownerships? As soon as you start to get one or two different in a line, like the variations are just start to become huge. So I just don't think you worry about it unless, can you give me some examples, I guess, of what you're looking at, Jordox, and maybe that will make it a little bit more real.
Yeah. So, instead of going Oliver to Rosie and Jackson to Caldwell, I really like Trent Rivers, but not getting Rosie and not getting Caldwell, they're going to be two of the most popular guys in the run home. And then it's the balance of, well, they're popular for a reason. They're incredibly cheap and they're scoring well above their price. So do I continue just doing what my brain says and getting the best players at the best value, and then at the very back end of the year look for something different? Because I guess you got to look at your own side, and I look at most of the guys I have, except for, say, Bailey Dale, LDU, Grundy, Luke Jackson, but he's going. Apart from those guys,
I think Grundy's a good unique. I think Grundy's a really good unique, and that is really going to separate you. Although it's not going to make you too much different in terms of point scoring, because every ruck is scoring around about the same at the moment. Although I think Max Gawn is about to go on a bit of a run and not great scores.
Yeah.
But I think with Connor Rosie...
Is that more hopeful, Tim?
Maybe, but I don't know. His scoring hasn't been as good as it has at the front end of the year.
He's got
certainly dropped off. Melbourne are going shit. I just don't know for how much longer he can carry that side on his shoulders. Yep. I think they're going to start. I just think they're going to realise that their season's maybe not as going to be where they.
One thing I'll say with Gawn, he went 98 obviously this week, but before the bye, 3 games before the bye, he went 152, 122, and 148.
Yeah, like I said, mate, his scoring's down. All right, his scoring's down on the beginning of the year.
But the
Yeah,
thing with
Jesus.
the thing they've gone that maybe can help that narrative, Tim, is he has been doing it solo all year. He will be getting exhausted.
Yeah.
He's not young.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if we see Tom Fullerton come in at some point for a chop out, and maybe that shaves his.
Even
ceiling
Melbourne's
off.
forward line hasn't been that great, so they might just bring in a Fullerton to try something different because the other guys just aren't getting it done.
They're only ninth as well, so they're kind of still in a shot with the finals as well, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they'll be.
I feel there are a lot of teams this year that aren't going that great, but they're still in a chance to get in the 8 because a lot of teams have had patches of just poor form. Besides Sydney, and then you got a couple of others near the top 4. Most of the others have.
Well, Hawthorn at 13th are only 1 game out of the 8.
Yeah, and I think someone said a couple of weeks ago that if they'd beaten Collingwood in Gather Round and they hadn't blown that lead against Port, they'd be 3rd or 4th or something, which is pretty crazy to think.
Incredible. So, Tim, do you reckon?
Let's come back to the conversation.
Yeah.
So,
at this point of the year, do you think having one somewhat unique guy in each line is enough?
So maybe it's not the point of the year. So firstly, I don't think you can pass up the value of Connor Rozee, and I think Caldwell's just too. I wouldn't say must have, but he's too kind of locked in that top 6 that I think I just don't think you miss out. But I think if we were looking at making trades this week that weren't so locked away, right? Like if you were now starting to look at luxury trades and you're starting to sit there and look at, okay, who am I going to trade out? Who am I not? I think that's where you can start to mitigate the risk of going unique, is in a circumstance where you're not necessarily sure about how your trade's going to play out. But Connor Rozee is just, I just don't see any reason why he's not going to go for the rest of the year like we predicted he was going to go from the beginning of the year. We thought he was going to be top 8.
Maybe more of it
seems like Butters is the one getting that.
More of an example of maybe what you're saying is Tim Taranto is just going to be such a popular target for guys, everyone's off the bye, but you know what I mean? Now that we're out of the byes, Taranto's going to be, he's a name on everyone's lips, and he's 926K, the price is right. Maybe what you're talking about is not getting Taranto because everyone else is, and going with something, a bit different, like a Trelaw. Well, yeah, I actually like that move, but someone else, just because everyone else is doing it, but everyone's getting Taranto for a reason. He could go 120 for the run home. We don't know. So maybe that's more your point than,
when's Hopper coming back? So when do we think Hopper's coming back?
Possibly this week. I think he's a test, but I don't think that matters for Taranto myself. But he's a test Hopper. But I don't think it matters. I think Taranto's going to go ape.
But I think that's not a bad example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
he's not as look. When you got a Rozee, you cannot walk away from a Rozee at that value, and that's why everyone's trading him in. But if Rozee wasn't available, and you're right, it was like, do I go a Taranto or a Trelaw or a couple of these, and they're more like coin tosses. I think that's when you can start to use ownership because you're kind of mitigating the risk of getting it wrong. Because people are going to go a lot of different ways anyway. They're not everyone's going the same way.
So with the mindset of, can I find something slightly different to just nudge me ahead? That was why I put the VC on Grundy this week and not Goulden.
Yeah.
Cost me 30 points. But I liked it. I like what Grundy's
doing.
Well,
not really, because not that many people went Goulden. The most popular captain this week was
Merritt,
I think Flanders.
Walsh.
No, it's Flanders.
Flanders. Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So it actually worked out for you. You made 20 points on the comp, on the majority of the comp. So look, I think that's another way that you can be unique as well as going different captain choices. And I think now is also a really good time to remind people that, you want to be trying to aim for having your C on the highest scoring player. So, that could be tough because the C could be a Friday night. It could be a Saturday morning or something along those lines. So, trying to use that.
We've got Gawn on Friday night up against McInerney, who can be tough. So it's going to be a brave man not to put the V on Gawn on Friday.
Well, without spoiling the captain video, I had a look at at it this week before I do my video on Thursday, and there are a lot of captain options that you could do. Like, I'll just only go through it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but like Friday, you could go Zorko against Melbourne, who give up bulk points, and it's back at the Gabba where Zorko loves. Gorn went 140 odd against McInerney early in the year. But then funny enough, on the Saturday, Bont against North, Goulden against Freo at the exact same time. So no one can just go Goulden into Bont or vice versa. So people are going to have to make that call. One could go 150, the other one could go 105 or whatever. You got Flanders against Collingwood up there. You've got Tom Gren against the Crows. I think Tom Gren's going to go absolutely nuts. And then there's a lot of good options this week. So this I think could be another week where
Merritt against Geelong.
Right, VC. Yep, if it doesn't get tagged, exactly. So it's going to be an interesting week to see how all the captains go. So I'm keen to sort of see what people are going to do this week. But we'll get into the questions. People got a few questions here lined up for us. But if you are tuning in live on YouTube or Twitter and would like to leave a question, you get your question answered, then leave it in the comments here, and we'll get to answering a few right now. So the first one we will go is from Caleb Fife. He says, I'll go Jordox for this one here. He says, which option would you choose? So option 1 gets a rookie off the field, and you go Oliver to Will Power, or McKercher, and Fraser to Simpkin. Or option 2, you go Oliver to Rosie and Pink to Evans. So it's essentially the second option, you're just doing a sideways swap from Oliver, or do you go Oliver slightly down to a Will Power or McKercher and go Fraser up to Simpkin? What are you thinking there?
I like Evans. I think it's obviously for an on-field spot, so that's the risk. I wonder if you can loop him at all. When are Port playing?
Sunday, the first
Sunday.
game.
Yeah, never mind.
Essentially would be Evans and Rosie, or Will Power / McKercher and Simpkin.
Oh, I see.
The two mid prices, or primo and a rookie.
I like the combination of the two mid prices, but I just can't go past Rosie. I think Rosie, and then Evans will make some money at the very least.
Maybe try and loop a few.
Well, they're playing St Kilda, Port, so there's every chance Evans goes 75 again. So have a crack at that.
Yeah. Matt James got this one. Tim, Taranto, Walsh, or I love that he's put this guy in, Rory, Laird.
Lairdy.
Taranto, Walsh, or Laird?
I think Laird's probably not out of the three, though. I just want to get Laird could be an option. But it's probably Taranto or Walsh, I think.
Yeah. Look, I'm not as sold on Taranto, hey. I've had Walsh on my side, and he's been doing pretty bloody well. So I haven't really been paying too much attention to him because he's just been kind of ticking along. But
Richmond this week.
Yeah, Richmond, Giants, Bulldogs, North. Fuck, that's a pretty good run. I think I'd be picking Walshy. I'm a bit worried about Hopper coming back for Taranto, and I'm also just a little bit worried about what Richmond might do at the back end of this year. I mean, the season's pretty much done for them now. I'm wondering whether they're going to start trying stuff at the back end of this year. So, I mean, you'd think they got to start doing something.
Yeah.
Kids, right? They got a McAuliffe they got to try, So, yeah, I'm just a bit concerned about what might happen with Taranto.
Do you see them trying him a bit more forward? Thinking of a life without Dusty, that sort of thing.
Well, I'm just worried about them changing things up. I've got the concern of Hopper, which, I mean, for me, when we look at Hopper in the past, Hopper has impacted Taranto by as much as reducing his average to as low as 90. But then on the back end of that, my uncertainty about what Richmond are going to do towards the back end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think someone like a Sammy Walsh, Can't on the up and up. He's got a good run of 4 games. I think I would be picking him over a Taranto.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah,
but it's probably the more common player, right? More common player. Maybe this is kind of what we were talking about before as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Taranto for me, but Walsh has been so good this year. I really do need to try and get him. Laird. Laird's an interesting watch.
Isn't this what the next 9 weeks is going to be like? We're going to be making like really, really close calls on players for the next 9 weeks.
Definitely.
So there's not going to be many easy decisions coming up. And I think, like one of the things I kind of got out of talking to Tom on Sunday when he was in the review was that I don't necessarily know that there's that much value in us providing an answer to questions. Now, sometimes there is, or us to
Don't
give our
say that.
opinions. I think,
People will stop tuning in.
well, no, but I think actually what's more valuable, Jordox, is almost what we were doing on these Tuesday nights a little bit more, is where we were, rather than coming up with an answer, we were talking through the questions. And providing our insights and our perspectives on, what we thought and why we thought that, without necessarily having an answer, and then allowing the listeners to kind of take that information in and make their own decisions.
The coaches panel are really good at that, and I've been with them for a while, and they're really big on, it doesn't matter what we think the answer is. It's all about the method and how you land there. And for me as an individual, when I play the game, I might get the player wrong and make the wrong call, and I'll naturally beat myself up about it. But if the method I use to land on that decision is using my intellect, using logic, using research, and not being too impacted by what everyone else says and thinks, if I get it wrong, I'm comfortable with that if I've followed that method. And I think having these conversations on a Tuesday night and some frantic messages over the weekend, Bales, helps pull that out. So there's many ways to.
Well, the other thing is, if you have a method, you can adjust it. If there's no method, you can't tweak your process. So so that's how we try and get better at the game. And that's part of what we're trying to do here, is get better. So another thing I think I really learned this year as well is I just think I'm nowhere near aggressive enough in buy rounds. I'm trying to get 22 players on field, when who gives a shit if you got 22 players on field? All that matters is 18 of them.
Yeah. But certainly,
so now you've got to have a bit of balance, but that's the thing. Where do you find the balance, And that's, I was too conservative this year with so many buys, and I'll be more aggressive next year, and we'll see how that goes.
But then the funny thing is, Tim, you'll be more aggressive next year, and it might not be the right play next year. I mean, every year is different. Yeah. We have so many different variables, so many different players. Players like Jordan Sweet, that one decision can just derail everything, and then the knock-on effect of one decision that falls apart is you get desperate, and then, or maybe you get too conservative because you took a risk, it didn't work. Now you're too conservative and you don't take any risks, and that's bad for you as well. So. Yeah, but I think ultimately at the end of the day, keep sending us questions to answer, because we like to do
it. Yeah. And look, for me, probably two major decisions. So not going Gorn, but once again, I was justified. I thought that Cherry and Grundy had more value built into them. And as the season kind of gone on, it actually proved to be okay. They just didn't do it in those first kind of 6 weeks of the season. And then the other decision was Tom Green. I brought Tom Green in, and he got a 7 on his debut. Did his ankle, and then that was But there's nothing I could have really done about that. I mean, certainly some of my starting picks left a bit to be desired, but yeah, apart from that, there's not much. There's not much.
Yeah, and that same week that Green got 7 was the week that Sarong went 141 against Richmond. So it was like that massive, that's like that 50-50 call, right? That's the sort of what sets on you.
It's been a lot of swings, that week, and I was on the right side of it, where I changed my captain from Dacos to Gorn last minute. That netted me 80 points. It's these little things. It just depends what side you fall on. And Tim, it sounds like you've had the rough side of it too many times this year.
But look,
that's the game.
I mean, I think for 10 or 11 years now, I've always been kind of trending up and getting better. So, you're bound to have one where you fall back. And I'm not the only one. There's been a bunch of people that have had it this year. So, it wouldn't be a game without this kind of stuff happening, right?
I think we've got to get out of our minds that the skill of the coach is dictated by their ranking. It just doesn't work like that. You could be an amazing coach at the game, and your ranking could suck. It's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And then on the flip side, you could have an amazing ranking.
The narrative we're going to keep telling the listeners.
Or you could be flying, and it's just because you did some weird stuff that came off, So anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, no, just a final thing on that question from Matt as well with Laird. Just a watch for the next 2 weeks. He's got Giants and Brisbane, not exactly easy matchups, but if he's playing halfback next 2 weeks, He's got a run after that of St Kilda in round 18, Essendon, Hawthorn, Geelong, Bulldogs. So could be a guy that we look to bring in at some point if that role does continue. So Mike 987, he's trading at Jordan Sweet this week. Brody Grundy or Rowan Marshall. So both you boys have got Brody Grundy, and I've got Marshall. So it's interesting. I think that Marshall could put up a mammoth score this week. He's got Port. He has an insane average of over 120, and that's including a injured 70 odd early in the year. And he's coming up against Jordan Sweet this week, so I feel like it could be a good run. But Grundy has been exceptional the past month. So would you boys be going for Grundy or Marshall? Because they're both unique, so you can't. It's even that ownership we talked about before. You can't even bring that into it because they're both quite unique. So where are you going?
My first thought it would be Grundy for the price, but they're a similar price. That's how good Grundy's been, and that's the dip that Marshall's had. I feel like Grundy's had a couple of easy kills last few weeks. I can't remember everyone he's played. Oh, he had Briggs, who he did a number on him, and then the week before he had Strawn at Adelaide. Whereas Marshall's had the week off, should be refreshed. I'd probably lean towards Marshall as a guy that you'd be pretty comfortable captaining. You'd go Marshall over Grundy if it was down to a captain choice. So
I've just got their next month here. Grundy's got the Freo duo this week. Then he's got Marshall, Cherry, and McInerney. So not really any easy matchups there. Marshall has obviously got Port this week. Then he goes into the Grundy matchup. Then he's got Strawn or O'Brien. At the moment, it's Strawn's. That could be an easy matchup.
It'll be O'Brien.
Then he's got West Coast. So it's a pretty nice.
Yeah, well, based on that, you'd have to go Marshall. I guess the thing I would say, the news that's just come out this Arvo is Soldo is going to miss, I think, 3 to 4 weeks at least. So if you were trading Sweet out, I guess you'd have a think about it, knowing that. But if you're locked into trading, I'd probably land on Grundy. What about you, Bales? You're saying?
It depends who else is in your team. If you don't have an Oliver and you don't have a Power and you've got rid of those guys, I'd be comfortable trading Sweet. But if you've got an Oliver, I think I'd probably rather say a Sweet and a Rosie or a Sweet and someone else than going and trading Sweet if you still got Oliver. So I think it depends on who else is in your team. So, but no, I like the question. It's a good one.
In isolation, yeah, upgrading Sweet is a no-brainer. It's just after the hell Sweet owners have been through, you're finally going to get a few weeks of him as the number one, and he could score okay. But
exactly,
this might be a dumb question, but let me ask it anyway. Jared Berry, what's his track record like tagging?
It's normally pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. And has he been doing the role a lot? I mean, he did a role on the weekend, didn't he? Has he been tagging lately?
He didn't really do much for job on the weekend, but he went to Bont the week before and when Bont played Brisbane, he held Bont to a pretty quiet game. I think Bont had a better second half, but his first half is on like mid-20s at halftime.
So how certain are we that the tag's going to go to Oliver?
95% sure.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, okay.
If Will Phillips can do a good job and frustrate Oliver like he did, Brisbane are going to look at that and go, how are we going to stop Melbourne? Even though Oliver's been bad form, let's keep him in bad form and let's and because I don't have Petrarca to come in and save the day either. So then you've got Gawn again doing.
Do you think Brisbane are really going to be that worried about how to stop Brisbane? And how to stop Melbourne? And if they are, don't you think that that's going to be more a plan around Max Gawn?
It's a good point.
Once
actually.
again, I just don't really see Clayton Oliver as a threat.
Because
Brisbane struggled early in the year and they need to win games, so they need to win this game to make sure they keep sort of getting towards that top 8. So I think it's almost a certainty that he goes.
I'm pretty certain, but just on what Tim's saying, there is merit. I mean, not Zach Merritt. There's validity to it, because Brisbane let Butters and Rosie run wild on the weekend, and they beat them by nearly 100 points. So there's something in what you're saying. I guess it's just, even if they don't start a tag on Oliver, if Oliver starts well, I think Berry will go to him at the very least at quarter time and shut him down. Not to 26, though. You'll never see that again from him, ever.
Not so sure after watching that whole game. That was a bad watch.
No, I don't think we will. I think
No,
Yeah,
no,
I think
I don't think really that was, but yeah, that was a
26.
horrible watch. Yeah, if anyone wants to go back and just go to the halftime chat that I had with the chat on Saturday night, was I was pretty much laughing.
So I
It's just that thing. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. So,
I don't.
but no, we got.
Sorry, just quickly. I may have said this before, but I don't typically check fantasy scores during the game. I stopped doing it a few years ago just for my mental health, but more just so I can enjoy the game for what it is. So I always have a running idea of what players are on, and I'm usually pretty accurate when I check at the end of the game. I nearly fell off the couch when I saw it was just 26. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, enough about that. Sorry, Buzz. Carry on.
That's all good. Oh, you can just bill me. No. And so Tom Oz one says trade Oliver or Jack McRae, can only trade one.
Oh, that's
You probably got
good question.
I'm probably Oliver out because you can probably go Oliver to Rosie. If you're going Jack McRae off forward, maybe Caldwell, but you probably Oliver to Rosie is probably the trade, I think. McRae's got North as well this week, so you never know. Could put an okay score up. And he got a few, actually, and McRae's been getting a few more CBAs for some reason over the last couple of weeks, which has been a bit of an interesting one. So for me, I'm trading Oliver Jordox.
It depends where you go. I mean, it's, like the person asking this question could potentially already have Rosie and may have had him this whole time.
Yeah. Or Tom Green, good option as well.
Yeah.
Your boy
Tom
Duke had a good game. You never know.
Yes. Took Miller is a definite option for the run home under 800K. Geez, I reckon I'd almost say trade McRae. I know it's nuts. I know Oliver's.
I just feel like McRae's not that, like he'll be within probably 20 points of those the forwards for like just this week alone. Whereas like Oliver could get a 50 or 60, and you could bring in a Rosie who goes 120, 130.
It's not a bad point. If McRae scores a 60 as your F5, F60, it's not the end of the world. If Oliver scores a 60 as your M7, M8, it's pretty feral. So yeah, maybe you're right.
But we have actually had a few questions I like here, and a few people saying, so Matt said he's looking at trading, either keeping Revel on field or trading Oliver. And then we also had a question from, if I find the name here, where was the name? A Detonator said, would you hold your last rookie or trade Oliver? So I guess we're probably looking at, do you go your last rookie? Do you go your last rookie to a Simpkin, a Will Powell, a Trent Rivers if you can get to Trent Rivers, or do you go an Oliver to a Walsh? If you can't get up that high, do you go into a Rosie? Do you go to a Tom Green? So, well, Tim, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so this is kind of why I'm been kind of pushing the Clayton Oliver narrative, because I think this is something that people are going to deal with. Now I'm probably lucky where I've got some cash in the bank, so I can do a bit with both. Like I can take my last rookie up to a Simpkin and still get Oliver to someone decent, right? But like a Rosie. But in this, this is where I'm worried that we're being a little bit too reactionary when it comes to a Clayton Oliver. I mean, yes, it was a game for the ages, right? Certainly a stinker, but I just don't know that he's going to put up something like that again. And if you're comparing like a Bruce Revel, I mean, Revel could easily stick up a 40. That could be 50 points short. So what are we talking like? I mean, an Oliver, I guess, if you're talking 50 points short, he's got to basically score a 50 or something like that for it to be a loss, right?
I'd still be trying the rookie first, I think. I'd still be doing that. And if you can get to a Trent Rivers or even a Rosie, because Rosie's not that much more expensive. Rosie's just over 700K. So if you've got a rookie that's 450,
15K or something, isn't he?
Yeah, like if you've got a Dempsey or someone like that, and you've got like a Jai Clark on your bench, you'll easily be able to go one of them down and Dempsey up. Or if you've got a rookie that's enough, and you should be able to make the trade, or at least get to someone serviceable. Whereas, and you could have, I think that there's a higher floor with Oliver, and then the player you bring in for the rookie, then the rookie and whoever you bring in. So, that's a good point. But
I mean, I wonder whether you could do something like, I don't mind your Will Power, right? Like, that's a doubt, right? You could maybe take out a Clayton Oliver, move one of the defender mids into the midfield, and bring in someone like a Will Power, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's what.
That's a downgrade. Gives you a bit of cash. You might be able to put a bit of cash on top of Dempsey and get him up to a Simpkin. So you can kind of do both.
Yeah, get rid of those. Yeah, those dirty floor scores. Exactly.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, not. Sorry, he's got a Revel, right? Not a Dempsey. What's he priced at?
460 something, I think. I'm pretty sure from
So it's
memory.
going to be a struggle.
So Revel is 457. So you got what?
Okay.
200, just about 200k to go to power.
Yeah.
So
you know what I'm
trying
not
to do something
hearing.
both of them.
You know, I'm not hearing in a lot of these, questions about blocks of trades. I'm not hearing much one up, one down. And I know we've got Rosie and even a Caldwell's somewhat cheap, but yeah, I'm not hearing many go down to Evans and then up to Taranto. I haven't seen many talking like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how people's mindsets change as we get closer to the weekend.
yeah, I had a look at doing that, going dry cut down to Evans and going Oliver up to Taranto, 3k short. And funny enough, that 3k was used by getting Hutchinson over Connor and Brown in the things. And I'm even I think I'm 1k short of 2k short of Welsh. So but yeah. Dylan Nang, is Gordon a must-have? Will trade starters / Luke Ryan, Gordon, and a 480k player? I don't even know who's at 480k. There's no one at 480k you can get. So the question is, do you get a rookie and Gordon, or do you do you have to break the bank, Jordox, to get Gordon into your team?
Well, you certainly have to break the bank, whether you have to do that or not, though. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just did it. I just spent the mill on him, and I just think this guy is. Just look at his scores. It's going to continue.
I think you almost have to. It would depend how, if you've got 3 rookies on field, you can't do it. But if you've got one rookie and you keep that one rookie on field and you just do that upgrade this week, we've got Green, we've got Rosie, we've got some cheaper guys you can get in the following weeks. If you can foresee it doesn't completely stuff your sort of trades next few weeks. Like I remember I think it was not last year before or whatever, that year that Bailey Smith was going like 120 for the first part of the year. And I remember listening to Selby, and Selby's like, this is a guy that I think we're going to need in our teams because he's playing 95+% game time. He's getting the ball at will. And Gordon's in that exact same boat. He's playing 95% plus game time each week. He's not going to get tagged because it's going to go to Warner most weeks because he's a bit easier to stop, I guess, when teams look at it. And Heaney is probably the other guy you tag. So Gordon's not going to get tagged. No one will be able to play 98% game time with Gordon to tag him. So I just think he's got the ceiling. I think he's got the floor. He's from round 5 onwards, he's had 2 90s. And they're the only scores under 100, and they were both. One of them was actually gave away like 6 free kicks or something. So I think Gordon's a guy that if you can bring into your team and it doesn't make your team look too bad after, I think it'll look a lot better with him in it. So, what do we got here? We've got a couple more here before we wrap up.
Actually, Thomas just said, anyone else getting a clicking noise on the stream? So, yeah, it's probably my mouse clicking, and I do apologise.
It was me. I'm in the car, and I think I had the indicator on.
Yeah.
But I do hear, when I listen back to these, I do hear the clicking of the mouse. And sometimes part of doing these live and answering questions on the fly means we do need to have a look at prices and players and CBAs and different things. And I try and mute when I do it, and sometimes I just can't. So
I think the other thing to note as well is that the way we do this podcast is we do it live, and so that we just download the audio and upload it. We don't do this with high production value. We don't do it with high fidelity mics or anything along those lines. And we don't do it with editing, and any of that stuff would just take us longer, which would mean less content. So we're trying to get more content out quicker, and we kind of sacrifice a bit of quality for speed.
And I don't think Thomas was complaining or anything like that. He was just asking questions to clarify it.
And look, definitely, if there's shit going on, let us know, because otherwise we don't know.
Yeah. Couple more here to finish off. The Real 2 article, Will Powell versus Yo versus Rivers. So I think we probably said we go Rivers over Powell if you can get to Rivers. But Yo is about 80k more expensive than Rivers. I'm personally still Rivers. I think Yo was a guy we started the year with. I think it's a little bit more risky now. I know he's looked really good last weeks, but Harley Reid hasn't been there. So
Tim Kelly
Moore's
will
had
be back
Tim Kelly will be
as
back
well.
as well.
And
I'm-
actually,
I'm-
some really sad news. His father passed away. So we
Was that
might
Yo?
see Yo. Yeah, his father. So
Yeah.
he may not play this week, which is pretty sad. But yeah, back to the
I think
fantasy
it'll be Rivers.
part of it. I liked Yo, but no, I think with Reed and Kelly coming back, you're just running the risk a bit, aren't you?
Yeah. And Harley Reid's got this question here. So you never know. Could be the Harley Reid. Is saying
Oh, wow.
Rosie or Butters gets the windy tag ?
He's a
It's a-
regular listener, isn't he, mate? He's on pretty much every week.
Yeah, we've got to get him on the podcast. I think it's Butters getting the tag because I can't remember who said it somewhere, but there was stats going around that the top sort of 20, 30 players that get affected with a tag and how that affects team results. Someone said Butters was number one. I can't remember who said that, but I heard on one of the podcasts and they said that Butters is the number one player in terms of impact when being tagged, and Port also struggled. Like they lost to Carlton when he got tagged by Chincotta. They lost the Giants when he got tagged by Bedford. Brisbane, I think, were that far up, they didn't even worry about it anyway. But I think St Kilda, it'll be a closer game. I think St Kilda will send Winnie to Butters. That's what and Ruck can go forward, I think, more effective makes what a Butters can. But then again, I'm not ruling out Windy going to Jason Horn Francis. I haven't heard really many people saying about that. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. I don't think he will, but I wouldn't be shocked. But Jordox, do you think he'll go to Rosie or Butters?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and it's sort of one we considered a lot in preseason when picking who to start with. And my thoughts then haven't changed to now is that it could well be Butters, and then at halftime, Rosie's doing too much damage, and it moves to Rosie. I think it's quite interchangeable. I think they're similar enough that Windhager could jump between the two. If I had to pick one, it would be Butters. But yeah, as a Butters owner, I can see me being pretty depressed at halftime. And then if Rosie's catching fire, it might flip, and then Butters will be better in the second half. So could not sit on the fence more with that answer if I tried.
Sam also said here as well, Errol was averaged 137.75 in his last 4 games. And it wouldn't be it wouldn't be that much though if he did last 5, because he's actually gone over 115 his last 5. He got like a 115, 117, 119, and then the 3 scores, like the 2 150s and the 127. So there you go. Orify is going Closey to Schoenmaker, Harrison to Rosie. I think we can all say that that's a tick. So he'd be doing that one. And we'll go the final one here to the super chat. Exception says sharp run with Goulden with his tank. Discuss. So could Sharp run with Goulden with his tank? I don't think Sharp said he's not going to be able to tag him, though. I wouldn't be too worried about that.
He could run with him, but he'd just be running and watching him get the ball. That's all he'd be doing.
Exactly.
But I think the point is that Sharp, you mentioned who could run with him.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Sharp could, but it wouldn't impact. Did you see what Liam Tomlinson said as well?
I was just about to read that as well. But exceptions, we appreciate the super chat there, mate. But obviously, Liam, friend of the show, and obviously with free kicks, said just tuned in. I'm hearing Bales repeating my Butters stat on tag impact. So yes, it was Liam. Okay, there you go. Well, Liam, appreciate that, mate. I couldn't remember. Yeah, you said on the Hat Chat pod or whatever. So yes.
If you've just tuned in, Liam, Bales was telling everyone it was his stat.
Yeah, he was.
No. There is proof. We're recording this. We could go back and check, and I know that was. So Liam, don't listen to their lies. So
no, he wouldn't.
Yeah, beautiful. Alrighty, boys. I think we'll wrap up there. We've just gone just over the hour mark, but so we alluded to it a little bit before. We'll sort of go quickly around that. Have Bales the burglar, says Liam. No, actually, well, I don't like any of my nicknames this year haven't been too great, but there you go. But Jordan, for listeners again, what are you looking at doing with your trades, or how do they currently sit?
Yeah, so I think this chat tonight's been really good, and I always enjoy the chats on a Tuesday. It does help me with my moves. I think I will play it fairly safe and simple this week. It's so stressful otherwise, so I think I'll lock in Clary to Rosie and Luke Jackson to Caldwell. I've got the cash. I think that's a wise way to spend it. And the only thing is I've still got a kid on field, but it's Billy Dowling. I can loop false drop on Friday night and see what he gives me. So we'll see see how we go.
Yeah, beautiful. Tim, what are you looking to do?
Mate, I think it'll be depending on how Salem comes up, probably be Clayton Oliver to Rosie, and then Dempsey to Simpkin. The only thing that might change there is if it's a Salem goes out, and then I think I'll be able to get in Caldwell instead.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I'm looking. Obviously, said one before as well, but I'm going Powell. I feel like Powell and Oliver have got to go. So I'm going Oliver to Rosie and Powell to Powell. So there we go. I'm looking at doing that. I did look at maybe looping some rookies, but I thought if I could loop 4 people in that last spot, I'd hold Powell and loop him with Rules, but I can't with only Zach Reed being the only red dot that I've sort of got that isn't going to be playing. So I'm hoping Joe Richards is back this week for Collingwood with that low break even to make some cash. So we'll see how we go. But boys, been a pleasure as always on a Tuesday night. Jordox, where can the people find you?
On X at Jordox 2020, and I am dropping the subs the second they are available, if I'm not preoccupied with my family.
Exactly right. Beautiful, good stuff, mate. And Tim, obviously people know where they can find you at Tim Guest AU, but anything you want to quickly say before we let everyone go?
Quick shout out as well. We've got an event on Thursday night for people wanting to learn how to pay their mortgage off up to 3 times quicker, save thousands on tax, and build their wealth. I'm sure people that have, kind of.
Oh, lost him.
Might
Finish his thought, Bales.
I think he was going to say that for anyone that's done the module and got the free package that they've bought, you've probably it'll be sort of linked in with all that stuff and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys do check that out. So I don't know if we'll get Tim back before we finish, but he does thank everyone that has done that and has got the module so far. And then you can find me at Bales DT across the socials as well. There'll be 2 videos up tomorrow. I'll be doing the trade talk videos always, but I'm also just going to be doing a bit of a different video. It'll be released about midday tomorrow. Doing my best 22 for the run home. So that'll be interesting if anyone wanted to check that out as well. But yeah, also shout out to all legends out there as well. We hit the 2.5k subscriber milestone on YouTube. So thank you very much, everyone that is subscribed there. 500 in 9 weeks. Can we do it? Can we get to 3K before the end of the season? It's a tough task, but if any legends out there haven't subscribed yet, you make sure you do on YouTube as well, and also my TikTok so we can stream these podcasts and our watch-alongs over there as well. So make sure you get around that. And if you've got any other questions as well, hit me up at askmeonq.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, or hit the link below in the podcast or the video. And if you'd like any team-dependent questions answered, send through your whole team. As Mitch likes to say, as he coined the phrase, give me a password question, anything draft related, whatever, just send it through and help support the channel, but also give you an in-depth response via audio to your email. So if you'd like to do that, then feel free. But and if you are listening to the pod, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. That would be very much appreciated. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on Friday for a pre-lockout chat. So thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.